How we doing, guys? Welcome to the preview and the predicted lineup. Arsenal against Olympiacos, Champions League action, match week 2. And listen, when you're looking at a lot of our Champions League fixtures and some of the games that we've got coming up, you would look at this Olympiacos one and you would kind of think to yourself, this is quite a nice game. This is quite favourable. But I would err on the side of caution before you start thinking that this will be a foregone conclusion, that this will be an easy game. Because we've played Olympiacos 12 times in our history. There's never been a draw between the two sides. 6 wins apiece. And in our last 3 matches at the Emirates, Olympiacos have won them all. How mad statistic is that? They've actually beaten us 3 times in a row at the Emirates. So it's not going to be a foregone conclusion. Now, I fully understand that, their league is nowhere near the levels of the Premier League in terms of its size, its intensity, its quality and everything else. And I mean that with the most respect. But at the end of the day, they're still a very good side. And they can still cause teams a lot of problems. They're currently top of their league, unbeaten, only drawn 1 game. They won at the weekend. And ironically, they actually won in the 96th minute, which is exactly what we did. So, yeah, it's one of those games that you look at and on paper, you probably think to yourself, okay, I'm happy with that. And to be fair, yes, we should be happy with it. But just be cautious. Just don't think that this is going to be a walkover. Now I've said that, we'll probably win the game 5 or 6-0. But look, you get where I'm coming from at the end of the day. No Champions League game is easy. And on any given night, anyone can lose, And on match day 1, they actually drew their game, which was probably a bad result for them, given the fact that they had home advantage. But yeah, listen, at the end of the day, like I said, just have that little air of caution about us, do our job, and be able to then move on and concentrate back on the Premier League. And I do feel that this will be a game that Mikel will make changes. Not loads of changes. It's not going to be like Carabao Cup level changes, 9, 10, etc. I'm probably thinking 3 or 4. There's reasons behind it. There's logic to what I'm thinking. In many ways, this is kind of what I'm looking at more than what I think Mikel will go with. I'd be surprised if he went with it, but I'd also be quite happy if he did. And yeah, listen, at the end of the day, I don't just throw out the lineups for the sake of it, and I don't just throw names there just because it, fits the bill, should we say. There's a reason behind it. And I just feel that with West Ham coming up, new manager, we know how Nuno plays, low blocks and everything else, and likes to play counter-attack football. So important that, we win the game against West Ham after what we did at Newcastle. And a bit like Newcastle, it's another, team that we struggle against, albeit we struggle against them at the Emirates. If this game was at West Ham, then I probably wouldn't even be worried. It's a foregone conclusion when we go there, and we always score 5 or 6 goals. But at the Emirates, they seem to have something over us at the moment. So it's another game where we kind of got to, right the wrongs of the past. But we'll go into that game with a preview, in the next couple of days. But I just feel that Mikel will make some changes for this. Like I said, 3 or 4. I don't think it's going to weaken us in any way because we've already spoken about how strong our strength in depth is. And yeah, I feel that this team would do enough and be able to get the job done. And you'd also, as we've seen, have a very strong bench. And as has been the case in a few games with us this season, when it's not been working out, the bench has been able to go and change the game and get the points and whatnot. So, yeah, listen, with that said, let's go and get into the starting lineup. In goal, David Raya. Very, very straightforward. This will not change. Like I said, it's not the Carabao Cup or FA Cup or anything like that. Champions League, David Raya goes in goal. Right back, this is where I do feel there may well be a change with Ben White coming into the side. Now, Jurriën Timber, we already know. He's the best right back in the league by an absolute mile. But we do also need to err on the side of caution with him and give him as much rest as we can whenever we can, because he's that important. Now, did you see how good he was at Newcastle? It's no coincidence that that was on the back of having a 4 week's rest. Same again. When I look at the West Ham game against Everton and I saw how good they looked down their left-hand side, Jurriën Timber's going to need to be fully on it. And listen, Ben White is not a bad deputy, is he? So at the end of the day, I've got no issues with that. And that's what I feel Mikel may well go with. Right centre-back, William Saliba, comes back into the starting lineup. And that's a very, very straightforward one. Of course, official now that he has signed his new contract. And that is just fantastic news. 5 more years of William Saliba. And it was never, ever in doubt. Left centre-back, Gabriel. From what I'm hearing, Henkape is, back involved in everything, but it's just too soon. Hasn't really played any minutes for the club. So he's not going to be coming in and replacing Gabriel as much as anyone would like to give him a rest. But nah, the centre-back pairing is what they will keep as the foundation. It's that simple. Left back, this again is an area I feel there will be a change with Miles Lewis-Skelly coming in for Calafiori. And yeah, if you're looking at the back five, if you include the goalkeeper, you're keeping that spine the same, but just making a couple of changes in the wide areas. And there's no issues at all. I'm quite happy with this. In the midfield, sitting in front as that number 6, I'm going to go with Declan Rice. Now, people may see where I'm going with this team, but it's going to be very reminiscent to how we finished the game against Newcastle. And again, it's about variety and the fact that we would be able to bring Martin Zubimendi out, keep him fresh as well. And let's remember, Martin Zubimendi has only just joined the club. He's been here for, 8 games, including first Champions League game, Port Vale, etc. You look at his Premier League games, 6 games. He's been to Anfield, Old Trafford, St James's Park, and we've played Man City at home. That's a tough, start to life in the Premier League. So be mindful of that. And Declan Rice as that number 6, which is his natural position anyway, no issues at all. And I feel that Declan Rice has got that engine, capability, the legs to play that role as a sole defensive midfielder, not a 2. Also with Miles Lewis-Skelly playing, who will invert and can act as a 2 as and when. So there's the thought process behind that. On the right-hand side, Bukayo Saka. Again, another game to get minutes in his legs. I'm not expecting him to play more than 75 minutes. Again, it's another one where you get 70, 75 minutes in the legs. And then we go again for the West Ham game, but very straightforward. Next to him will be Martin Odegaard. I'd like to see him playing a little deeper, and you will understand that with who I've got next to him. And again, very reminiscent to the way that we finished the game against Newcastle and how dominant we were and how much we penned them back. And I feel that if Martin Odegaard is playing behind a 10 and feeding the 10 rather than, being the one that's fed, you get the best out of him. You get the kind of passes that he made to Miles Lewis-Skelly. And what you did also see is that when Odegaard is fixed in that kind of 10 position, he's always predominantly on the right of it. But if you looked at him in the Newcastle game, how many times did you see him popping up on the left-hand side? All the time. The interchange with Eze was constant. I really liked it. And that's what I want to see again. And I feel that this is the perfect game that you could probably do that. Next to him, pretty straightforward, Eberechi Eza. Like I was explaining with the Odegaard situation and the interlinking and the way that they can move around together. And Eza, for me, is a game changer. I knew he was good, but now I'm watching him on a consistent basis and I've watched him live. He is so good. So good. And I feel him playing a little bit further forward than Odegaard, being that one in those pockets of spaces and creating and doing all the little intricate stuff, it just works perfectly. And against Newcastle, like I said, were able to pen them back, and we were able to be very, very dominant in that last 15, 20 minutes. So that's the thought process. And on the left-hand side, I'm going to go with Martinelli. Feel that he will probably get a chance, get an opportunity. Trossard's been getting a few opportunities, so I feel that Martinelli probably deserves one. Give him an opportunity, give him a go, keeps that pace in the wide areas, with Saka on one side and Martinelli on the other. So pretty straightforward. And then up front as the main striker, Victor Gyökeres. Listen, these are the kind of games that you would like to see him rack up a couple of goals. And he had a very good record in the Champions League last season for Sporting, and long may it continue for us, that's for sure. So I feel that team there has got absolutely everything. There's like 3-4 changes from the weekend, nothing major. The players coming in are not lowering the level. It's a very strong team, and it kind of just shows how mad our depth is. But I feel that's plenty enough to get the job done against Olympiacos. I think that's a very good lineup. I'm happy with that. Will Mikel go for it? Don't know. But I'd like to see it. I think that's good. I think it offers a lot of balance, a lot of creativity, and a lot of chances to, pen the team back and, have a good evening. So, there we go. That is it for the lineup. Let me know in the comment section whether you agree or disagree. And of course, if you're new around here, hit the subscribe button, smash a like on this video, and I will see you a lot very soon. I'm out of here.